What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be diving into some mono red here on the ranked standard ladder. This is a deck that I feel like is probably going to be on the up and up as we kind of get more into the more mid-range slash control decks of the format as I get higher and higher in the ranks overall. I believe at the current time of this recording, I am around platinum tier 2, like the second tier, I guess, about halfway through. And, I'm trying to make that final push to get to Diamond, then maybe Mythic after that. So I figured I'd dive into some Mono Red. The benefit of playing like a Mono Red aggressive deck is the games are relatively quick, whether you win or lose. So you're able to get in a bunch of games relatively quickly. I've played about 10 games or so far with the deck, to try it out, maybe make a couple minor tweaks to the list that I kind of pulled from untapped.gg. And just kind of see how it feels overall. I think the only real big noticeable change is that I kind of went up one land because the deck originally had 23 lands. And for some strange reason, I kept on getting mana. I got locked at 2 mana, which definitely doesn't help because there are some key spells that we make sure we want to hit on turn 3 and turn 4. So somehow going to 24 lands has kind of improved my overall record. I'm now sitting at 5-5. Whereas originally I think I was like 2-5 before I made the switch to lands. And ever since I've added one additional land, I've now won 3 straight with the deck. So I don't really know what that means. But other than that, there's nothing really too crazy about the deck. If you've already seen this deck, it's definitely something that's very straightforward. Our one-drop curve is playing a bunch of various things. Like Kamano is kind of like one key card. Phoenix Chick is another card from Dominaria United that's definitely been kind of interesting here in the deck. In the 2-drop slot, we have Rada's Firebrand, which is the 3/1 that whenever it attacks, we get to make target creature not be able to block that has power less than Firebrand, which is definitely a pretty interesting ability, especially against decks that may not play the strongest of creatures, which is definitely not that bad. We also got the Lightning Strike with Dominaria United, an instant speed spell that deals 3 damage, which has been an improvement for the deck. In the 3-drop slot, nothing really too crazy here. We have 1 Squee, we have 4 Reckless Stormseekers, which are good to push in some aggressive damage, and if it does switch to nighttime, we do get the 3/4 side on the back to give us something +2/+0 and trample and haste. 1 Chandra there, just kind of as a one-off. And then we have Thunder and Raiju kind of top end the deck. Like, what we're trying to do here is try to be as aggressive in the early game. Typically, in the games that I've lost with the deck, if I'm not aggressive on turns 1 and 2, it's typically where I would fall behind and more than likely lose. A couple of the losses I did have were because I got just locked at 2 mana, and the deck can function because it's not key to play the 3 and 4-drop spells, but when your hand's full of them, it definitely doesn't feel good to play. So it's definitely been interesting. It's definitely been a bumpy ride. I do see there are some matchups that could be a pain in the butt to kind of get around. Like I said, if we're not aggressive against more mid-range decks, we're like a mono black mid-range where it's kind of like a mid-range deck, but it's on the lower end, so they're casting stuff probably like turns 2 through 5 is where their key target is. If we're not aggressive against those decks, those are definitely decks that we could struggle against. So, we're just going to dive into some games, kind of see how we do. I'll probably pull up the stats at the end if we want to see how we did overall against the various matchups, just depending on how many games I show. Because I feel like once you see like 4 or 5 games of Mono Red, I feel like you understand what the deck is all about. So I'll probably play a bunch of games, and I'll probably try to make the more interesting ones here on the video. So hopefully you enjoy, and let's just dive into some games and kind of see how we do. Opponent goes first. Hand is... It's not great, but it's not the worst, right? Like, we have stuff. Rada is really good here. We're just going to say go. Our opponent would probably think we just have a play with fire there just because of health priority. Looks like we're playing Esper, which should be fun. We're playing behind, so there's probably a good chance that they like Liliana here, is what I'm thinking. That's fine as well. They missed the land drop. Interesting. I'm actually going to say go here, because, I mean, if they're down land, I could play like a Shivian Devastator as a 4/4 next turn or something like that. Sure. We're just gonna get rid of that. I don't want them to get any life because we can't really beat a life link deck. Rada is not bad either. Though I would say we're probably good to do this for 2 or for 1 and make it a 2/2, and then I'll play a Rada as well. I think you know, maybe get the board a little bit wide. And then we'll set up for like a Thunder and Raiju the following turn. Oh, they got their what announcement? That's fine. No blocks. Sure. We'll play Raiju. We'll swing. Make that unblockable. And GG's. I mean, I don't think they're out of it, but they're taking a hit that turn. Right? Like, they're taking 3, 5, 8, 10, plus 1, plus another 1, because I'll probably put the counter somewhere else, like on the Rada or something like that. So they're taking 11 to go down to 5. I mean, they're not out of it, but, I mean, I guess they don't want to play it. These hands have not been good, but we at least can be slightly aggressive early and hit for at least 2 with 2 Phoenix checks. Oh, are we also mono Reddit? No, we're mono treasuring. Interesting. Well, we'll just attack for 2 in the air and see what you do. I mean, I guess you got a creature that's a treasure token. Okay.
This little candle's gonna set your world on fire.
Doesn't do to it does only does it to players.
Aw, you're looking a little singed.
Sure. Okay, so can we beat them? That is the question. We'll go 1 here, 1 here. Bit of damage.
Hey, listen, jerk.
Lightning strike.
Move it.
And we'll say go.
This went way different than I expected.
They're stuck at 2 mana here, though, because they had to sacrifice a treasure. Sure. You get a treasure. Makes sense. 17. We'll Raiju. And we'll attack all. I'm actually going to put the counter here, because it makes Raiju a 4/4, which their through-in doesn't block very well. Right now they have to commit 2 counters, like 2 removal spells to it in order to actually like remove it. Okay, those don't block. I guess now they're playing defensive? That's weird. Oh, do we got removal? And we'll give this a +1/+1 counter, deal 1. They got a block because that's lethal on board. They block Raiju. Maybe they have a play with fire. Sure. Down to 3. If they can remove... If they can play enough stuff to gunk up the board, I think we have this. All right. On the play, hand's good. Right, we can Kamano into like a Rada's Firebrand into a Bloodthirsty Adversary, and then hopefully draw a 4th land to play Raiju, and then we literally play our whole hand. So there's that. This is hopefully we get a favorable matchup. Rakdos can be challenging here, right? Even though we get a 4/2 Rada, still dies to an Infernal Grasp, which is a down thing. But it now doesn't die to a cutout, so that's good. Sure, Underdog can't block it. I actually think we Stormseeker here. Get that going. We'll plus itself. We'll swing in for what I believe is a ton. Yeah, that's 10 damage. So do something, opponent. Play another creature. because we're swinging back for 10 again the following turn. So leaving back a Tenacious Underdog is not going to do anything. Have to do something to affect... Okay. We're not leaving a blocker. Interesting. Bold strategy. What does that do? Good game, opponent? That doesn't do anything for you. That's I can run as...
Sow some chaos. Your punishment is my entertainment.
Oh, I guess they gained 2 life. I guess I missed that. That would have been 3, right? Wouldn't it? We'll flip it to nighttime. Put even more pressure on them. No.
Defy me, and you'll lose everything.
No.
By coin or carnage.
I still have enough damage to kill you on the swing. So another creature, please. Sure. Gets you a 2/2 that won't be able to block because they don't know that I have a hammer hand in hand. We'll just share the well. You can't block. Yeah, I missed lethal the turn before, unfortunately, but thankfully it didn't, bite me in the end. Opponent goes first. I mean, hand is like Kamano, Adversary. Like, this is definitely maybe not as aggressive as I would like, but it's not a bad hand. I think our opponent mulliganed down to... Well, they played 2 things. I thought they were down to, like... Alright, so we're just going ham here. Interesting. That is a bold play, right? Unless they're going to play another... Nope, not going to play another one. That is quite unique, I would say. Well, we're going to get rid of it before they grow it. That deals 2 damage. They can't grow it again. And then we're going to follow that up with a Phoenix check. So, I mean, if they want me to sacrifice a Phoenix check, cool. Sure. I feel like they're angry about it. Sure. Cool opponent. I'm actually going to deal 3 to this. And I will discard an Adversary. And that exiles. We'll ping you for 1. We'll hit you for 2. Sure. You can get rid of a spell. No. Do you want to trade? Are you gonna Liliana here? Because I have no hand. You Lily and then you sacrifice Lily in the process? I mean, they're very stumped on whatever they want to do on turn 4. I mean, Shieldred would be like the ultimate, like... So you meat hook for 2. When a second one's coming the following turn? Interesting. Wow, they have 4. Or 3 of them in their open in hand. There's 1 there, and there's 2 in their... That is actually really crazy that they got that lucky with their draw. Sure.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once, it's not my fault. Haven't you ever heard of personal space? I'll be back with friends.
Yep. Gonna get rid of... I don't have any creatures. All my creatures are enchantments. No blocks. And I guess they're gonna plus Sorin or minus Sorin here. You go to 2/3 blocker, which I don't understand.
You serve me well.
The problem is we drew very low end on our curve. So I mean we could attack Sorin here, right? Because their 2/3 can't block.
Balance may never be restored now.
But we're definitely going to take a hit. Sure. Didn't blitz it, which is interesting. I guess we keep. Hopefully we draw good. Right? Because, I mean, really outside of Rada and a Play with Fire and a Hammerhand, I mean, it's not enough to really be super aggressive, especially if our opponent's playing... Alright, well, I mean, that's not the worst. If they're playing, like, mono white with, like, life gain, I'm not going to be mad about it. Got a fight spell. Alright. So we're, like, mono white life gain token kind of deck. Play another one. I want to see how they block, right? We'll make it so their token can't block. And see if they want to double block a Rada. And then we'll just shock that. And there's no trade. And both cards are exiled, so I mean that's even better for us. And now they're just left with a 1/1 token. And now the fact that we have 2 Radas out, I mean we're in a good spot there. Sure. Yeah, I mean, our board state's very good in this position. Like, I don't have the mana. We'll put it here. We'll target their 2/3. We'll swing in for, I think, like 12. They're down to 7 in this process. And then they're pretty much put in a position that they don't really have a ton they can do. Like, they can only have 1 blocker next turn. Like, I could see, like, a wedding announcement happening here. Create 3 blockers, but that takes all their mana. What else does Selesnya have in their arsenal that could maybe create some sort of board state? Maybe they have the creature with flash. They could, like, surprise flash and do something. I mean, they do need to create a pretty decently wide board state, though. Sure. Those top deck a lightning strike and then swinging for lethal. No, this is not a keepable hand. I mean, there's nothing we're doing here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll get rid of Raiju. All right. Okay, favorable matchup, right? If it's Selesnya again, we drop a Kamado on turn 1. We play Rada on turn 2. Turn 3, if we get another land. Okay, so we're playing Naturals. Got it. Well, we'll Rada. They may do some damage here. It's just going to be a matter of can we outrun them, and if they don't get their right tools to really get big quickly and to gain a bunch of life. Because, I mean... Sure. Alright. We'll do
You know what's
one.
great at dispelling darkness? A blazing
Play
inferno.
Kamado again.
Watch me heat up the dance floor.
I'll swing for 2. It doesn't really matter because they'll gain it back. There's a possibility they'll also play enchantments here, grow their naturalist. That's fine. Yep. Definitely challenging here.
Party's over for you, pal. Come on, Chandra. Think of something good.
Man, that really sucks, right? It's like I gotta play the creature. I mean, they'll probably double block here if I was them. Because I feel like double block... Oh, okay, we're just going to take it. Got it. So they must have a plan to get big, I guess? Interesting order. They probably top deck that borrowed time. Okay. Now, do they go face or do they go to Chandra is the real question. All right, they're doing 6 face and they're doing... Okay, we're just going all in, I guess. Got it.
Wow. Not even a gift bag.
Phoenix Chick is not the card. Yeah, we're behind. And we're back. So, I mean, overall, we did okay. I believe we were 7-6. This deck, I feel like, in the current meta, struggles a little bit when it comes to being on the draw, as I don't think it's as, you know, aggressive enough to compete against some of the decks. Like, it's definitely really hard to get, like, that perfect hand to be on the draw and kind of be behind, in a way, just because of how the meta is overall. Though this is a great deck if you are someone who streaks a lot being on the play, which is definitely somewhere where this deck thrives, because being able to put pressure on the battlefield up before your opponent can kind of react to it is kind of how this deck thrives. And like I said, it definitely shows itself when you're on the play and on the draw against various decks. You know, 13 games. I played 13 games in about 45 minutes, which is pretty crazy. I didn't think it was gonna. It felt much longer because I played so many games. But you know, if you're looking for someone to, if you're looking for a deck to kind of just like play games through really quickly, this is not a bad one. I just find it to be very matchup based, right? Like, there's definitely a lot of matchups where this deck's really good against, and there's a lot of matchups where this deck struggles against. And being on the play and playing on the draw is also like 2 different ways that really figures like how this deck can be good and or bad. You know, it definitely has its spot in the meta. Maybe it's just, you know, I got unlucky with my 13 matchups. There was, you know, a couple of things where maybe I misplayed a little bit, but I don't think that really was going to deviate me from really losing the game or winning the game. You know, there was a couple times I missed like lethal, but you know, it didn't really matter because I ended up finishing off my opponent. There was other times where maybe I could have played a spell differently, like a spot removal spell, maybe saved it for later. But I also think like when an opponent slams like a shield Druid against this deck, it's definitely hard for this deck to get rid of it, just because there isn't any big kind of removal. And I do think that's kind of how this deck struggles. So if you're not putting against enough pressure and against a deck that plays big things, like you're not playing out like Rada's early, you're not playing out, you don't have a hammer hand in hand. It's definitely going to be a struggle against those decks. But it is a fun deck. Like I said, it plays games quickly. It, you know, 7-6 is not a bad overall record, right? That's still technically north of 500. So, you know, it's definitely a game that you can play through. But I guess when you get to the higher ranks and every win matters where every loss matters because it's only a 1-to-1. This deck is going to struggle, I think, to really kind of get you there to Mythic overall, just because I actually lost progress. Then I actually gained progress. I think I'm actually now one step further behind than where I started the video at. So definitely one of those things that, you know, is always a struggle once you start getting to the higher ranks. But still, nonetheless, it is a fun deck. It does a lot of cool things. It just feels very weird and out of place sometimes in the way the meta is currently at the moment. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below if you are playing mono red. You know, what's your success with it? Are you guys having success? I'm in platinum, so I mean, my success is maybe different than your success at a different rank. If you like the video, hit that like button. Definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, you want to post new videos like this one here on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Just want to give a special shout out to the channel members here on my YouTube channel. You can also become a channel member yourself down below the video, hitting that join button. It definitely helps out a lot, and I just appreciate you guys for your support.